In the heart of the galaxy, the Galactic Council held an important meeting. Representatives from all the major alien species gathered in a vast, floating chamber. The room was filled with alien diplomats, military commanders, and scientists. They were all talking in low voices, their faces serious. The council was about to discuss a growing problem that had been on everyone's mind for weeks. Strange reports had been coming in from all corners of the galaxy. Ships, some of the most powerful in the galaxy, were being destroyed, and no one knew by whom. Alien fleets, armed with cutting-edge technology, had been ambushed and defeated by an unknown enemy. But the most surprising part, no one could figure out what kind of ship could do this. The enemy wasn't using anything they recognized. The Galactic Council was made up of representatives from many different species. The Council had seen countless battles and wars. They had faced the most dangerous creatures and technologies the galaxy had to offer. But now, they were facing a mystery. Who was behind these attacks? And what was the weapon that could destroy the strongest ships? A large holographic screen in the center of the room flickered on. It showed a massive battle between an alien fleet and a single enemy ship. The ship was unlike anything the council members had seen before. It wasn't smooth and sleek like the advanced alien ships. It was rough, almost patched together, and it looked like it had been built using older technology. The ship was not beautiful or elegant, but it was powerful. The battle footage showed that this human ship had outsmarted the alien fleet, using tactics no one could have predicted. "Is this some kind of trick?" said a large reptilian representative from a species known for their warlike ways. "What kind of ship is this? It doesn't look like anything we've ever seen." The hologram flickered again, showing more footage. The human ship dodged alien lasers with unexpected agility, maneuvering like a predator in the stars. It then launched a series of missiles that hit their targets with deadly precision, taking down one of the largest alien ships. The council members exchanged worried glances. How could this be possible? "This ship, it's not like any we've seen before," said a member of a species known for their advanced intelligence. "It's not using any technology we recognize, and yet it's tearing through the fleet as if it's nothing." The room fell silent as the reality began to sink in. The council had never seen anything like this before. How was it possible for a ship, so primitive in appearance, to cause so much destruction? It didn't make sense. They had expected some kind of advanced weapon, something the likes of which they had seen in other species, but this ship didn't fit that mold at all. One of the human representatives, seated quietly at the back of the room, stood up and cleared his throat. "The ship is a human warship," he said, his voice calm but filled with pride. The room went still. The alien representatives turned toward him in shock. They could hardly believe what they had just heard. "H-human," said one of the council members, a creature with a soft, melodic voice. "You mean this ship is from Earth? How is that possible? We've always thought of humans as primitive." The human representative nodded. "Yes, the ship is from Earth. It was built by human engineers. But more importantly, it was built by humans who know how to survive. We have fought wars we have lost, but we never give up. This warship is a symbol of human resilience." The council's disbelief only grew. How could a species that had once been viewed as nothing more than a young developing race suddenly produce something so powerful? How could a species so far behind in technology create a weapon that could hold its own against the most advanced ships in the galaxy? The alien representatives exchanged whispers. They had never considered the possibility that humanity could be a serious threat. They had always thought of humans as an insignificant species, just a small, isolated group on a far-off planet. They were wrong. The ship they were seeing was proof that humanity had something the galaxy had never seen before, a deep, unbreakable will to survive. "How could this happen?" asked a council member, an alien with a face full of confusion. "What kind of technology do humans have?" The human representative took a deep breath, but there was no hesitation in his voice. "We have no advanced alien technology. We have used what we've learned from our past. The ship is made from scrap parts, old warships, and whatever we could find. But the real weapon is our people. We are not like any other species in the galaxy." The room was silent once again. The alien leaders, who had always believed they were the dominant species in the galaxy, were forced to confront a shocking new reality. They had underestimated humanity, and now they were about to face the consequences. The Galactic Council had made their decision. It was time to confront the mysterious human warship. The members of the Council were still shaken by the previous revelation. A human warship, something no one had expected. The first battle against the human ship had left many alien fleets in ruins, and now the Council was scrambling to take action before things got worse. The Council quickly assembled a fleet of their most powerful ships, giant, heavily armed vessels designed for one purpose: war. These ships represented the best technology the galaxy had to offer. Each one was equipped with advanced shields, weapons capable of destroying planets, and crewed by some of the most skilled alien warriors in the galaxy. They had seen countless battles and defeated many enemies, but they had never faced anything like this. As the fleet gathered in the dark void of space, a sense of tension filled the air. The ships were ready, their weapons powered up, and their commanders eager to face the human threat. They knew the mission: find the human warship, engage it in battle, and bring it down. This would be the end of the mysterious attacks. The fleet moved quickly, following the last known coordinates of the human ship. The silence of space was only broken by the hum of engines as the ships made their way through the stars. For many in the fleet, this was just another mission. But for the Council representatives watching from a distance, this was more than that. It was a test. Could the galaxy's most powerful ships defeat a warship that, until recently, no one even knew existed? After several hours, the fleet arrived at the coordinates. The human ship was nowhere in sight, but there were signs of its presence. Debris floated in the area, pieces of destroyed ships, wreckage from past battles. The alien fleet circled the area, their sensors scanning for any sign of the human ship. And then, without warning, a single message appeared on the screen: "We're ready." It was a simple message, but it made the alien commanders nervous. They knew that the human ship was nearby, hiding in the shadows. The fleet spread out, each ship moving into position, weapons locked and shields raised. They were preparing for the fight of their lives. Suddenly, a burst of energy shot out from a nearby asteroid field. The human warship emerged, almost like a ghost in the darkness. It was massive, bigger than most of the ships in the alien fleet. Its outer shell was covered in scratches and marks, showing signs of years of battles fought and won. The ship's design was a far cry from the sleek, advanced alien ships that filled the galaxy. It looked old, patched together with scrap metal, and yet it gave off a powerful energy that the alien fleet could not ignore. The human ship fired first, sending a barrage of laser beams that cut through the darkness of space. The alien fleet immediately retaliated, firing back with powerful weapons that could destroy entire cities. But the human ship was fast, faster than anything the aliens had anticipated. It dodged every shot, slipping between beams of energy with unnatural precision. The alien commanders watched in disbelief as the human ship danced through their fire, avoiding every attack with a skill they had never seen before. "Impossible," muttered one of the alien commanders. "How is it moving like that?" The human ship didn't just dodge the attacks. It fought back with overwhelming force. It fired its own lasers, each shot hitting its target with deadly accuracy. One of the smaller alien ships was hit, its shields failing before it could even react. The ship exploded in a burst of light, sending debris flying in all directions. The fleet faltered for a moment, shocked by how quickly things were unfolding. Despite their advanced technology, the alien ship seemed slow compared to the human warship. The humans didn't just rely on their weapons. They used everything in their environment. The human captain, aboard the warship, was using asteroid fields and debris from old battles to hide and launch surprise attacks. The alien fleet had no idea where the next shot was coming from, and each attack left them weaker than before. "What is this?" asked one of the alien commanders, his voice filled with frustration. "How can they keep doing this?" The human warship didn't just fight. It adapted. Every move it made, every strategy it used, seemed to be tailored to the situation. It was almost as if the human captain knew exactly what the aliens were going to do before they did it. The council representatives, watching from a safe distance, couldn't believe their eyes. They had assumed the human ship would be easy to defeat, but now they were seeing something else, something they hadn't prepared for. The alien fleet regrouped, their ships circling around the human warship, hoping to trap it. But the human ship was always one step ahead. It broke free from the circle, launching itself into open space with incredible speed. The aliens tried to follow, but they couldn't match the human ship's agility. The battle continued for hours, with the human warship taking down ship after ship, leaving the alien fleet in chaos. And still, the council representatives could only watch in silence, unable to do anything to stop the fight. They had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price for it. As the human ship launched another devastating attack, the alien commanders realized something. They were not facing just a ship. They were facing a species with a level of ingenuity and determination they had never seen before. The battle was far from over, but one thing was clear: the human warship was not going down easily. The battle between the human warship and the alien fleet raged on. Despite their advanced technology, the aliens were struggling. One by one, their ships were being destroyed or forced to retreat. Each time they tried to surround the human warship, it darted away with impossible speed, slipping between asteroid fields and debris to keep itself hidden. The alien fleet, despite its overwhelming numbers, seemed to be losing the fight. The Galactic Council's representatives, still watching from their distant command center, were in shock. They had sent their best fleet to deal with the human threat, yet they could do nothing but observe as their ships were outmaneuvered and outgunned by a single, seemingly primitive warship. The human ship didn't have the sleek, cutting-edge technology of the alien fleets. It wasn't filled with powerful energy weapons or powerful shields, but it had something the alien ships didn't: a relentless will to survive. "We have to regroup," said one of the alien commanders, his voice filled with frustration. "This isn't working. We need to change tactics." "Change tactics?" another commander asked. "What do you suggest?" "We can't hit them. We can't even catch them. Their ship moves like a shadow." The first commander clenched his fists. "We underestimated them. We thought they were just a primitive species, but we were wrong. They are not just fighting with technology. They are fighting with their minds." Back in the midst of the battle, the human ship's captain, a skilled and determined commander, was watching the alien ships carefully. Every move, every attack, every retreat, it was all part of a larger strategy. He knew that the enemy was relying too much on their weapons and their numbers. They were used to overwhelming their enemies with firepower, but the human warship wasn't playing by their rules. The captain of the human warship had spent years studying the alien fleets. He knew their strengths, their weaknesses, and their patterns. The human warship was far from the most advanced ship in the galaxy, but it was designed with one goal in mind: to outthink and outmaneuver any opponent. Every move made by the ship was carefully calculated, and every shot fired had a purpose. The aliens were simply too predictable, and the human captain was using that predictability against them. The alien fleet's commander, a tall alien with a sharp, angular face, was pacing back and forth on his ship's command bridge. He was trying to think of a way to turn the tide of battle, but it was clear that the human warship wasn't like anything he had faced before. The human ship didn't just rely on weapons. It relied on something deeper, something the aliens hadn't expected: creativity. Suddenly, the human ship made a bold move. It charged straight at the largest alien ship, a massive vessel equipped with powerful weapons and shields. The alien ship fired its weapons, expecting the human warship to dodge, just like before. But this time, the human ship didn't swerve. It kept going, getting closer and closer, until it was almost at point-blank range. "Prepare for impact," the alien commander shouted, certain that the human ship was about to be destroyed. But just as the alien ship prepared to fire the final blow, the human ship did something unexpected. It fired a series of small, rapid pulses, almost like a burst of lightning, directly into the alien ship's power core. The pulses were not powerful enough to cause massive destruction, but they were enough to disrupt the ship's energy flow. The alien ship's shields flickered, and for a split second, its energy reserves were depleted. In that brief moment, the human warship made its move. It launched a series of well-aimed missiles, hitting the alien ship's weak spots with precision. The alien ship's shields flickered again, and with a loud explosion, one of its engines was destroyed. The alien fleet watched in horror as the once dominant ship began to drift, its power systems failing. The human warship had done the impossible. It had breached the alien ship's defenses by using its own power against it. "This is no ordinary enemy," the alien commander muttered. It's clever. Too clever." The alien fleet regrouped quickly, but it was clear that their morale had been shaken. The human warship wasn't just relying on its weapons or speed, it was relying on its brains. The battle wasn't about technology, it was about using what you had in the smartest way possible. And that's exactly what the human warship was doing. The battle continued, but the momentum had shifted. The alien ships were no longer attacking with the same confidence they had before. They were hesitating, second-guessing their every move. The human warship, on the other hand, was calm, methodical, and relentless. The captain of the ship knew that victory wasn't about brute force. It was about staying one step ahead of the enemy. As the hours passed, the human ship continued to dismantle the alien fleet, piece by piece. It didn't take down the entire fleet at once, but it kept picking off smaller ships, each victory making the human warship's position stronger. The aliens were beginning to realize that this wasn't a fight they could win by sheer force. The human ship was teaching them a lesson they would never forget. The Galactic Council, still watching from their distant command center, began to realize something even more startling. This wasn't just a fight between a human warship and an alien fleet. It was a fight for something far more important, humanity's place in the galaxy. And it was clear that the humans were not going to back down. The human warship continued to strike with relentless precision, leaving the alien fleet in disarray. With every passing moment, it became clearer that the battle wasn't going in the direction the Galactic Council had expected. What had started as a confident mission to eliminate a single human ship was quickly turning into a desperate struggle to keep the remaining fleet intact. The alien commanders had never faced an enemy like this. Every strategy they employed, every move they made, seemed to be countered by the human warship with ease. The human ship wasn't just fighting with advanced technology. It was fighting with something deeper, something the aliens had overlooked: a human will to win. On the bridge of the alien flagship, the commander stared at the view screen, his face a mix of anger and disbelief. His fleet was being torn apart, and he knew that something needed to change. "We've underestimated them," the commander muttered under his breath. "Their ship isn't just fast or well-armed, it's their tactics. We need to find a way to outsmart them, or we'll lose this entire fleet." "Sir," said his second-in-command, a smaller alien with long pointed ears, "perhaps we should consider a new approach. We can't keep chasing them like this. It's costing us too many ships." The commander didn't respond immediately. He kept watching as the human ship continued to outmaneuver the fleet. The aliens had superior numbers, better technology, and far more powerful ships, yet the human warship was making them look like amateurs. In the distance, the human ship fired another wave of missiles, this time targeting the weak points of a smaller alien vessel. The ship's shields failed, and the hull buckled under the pressure. In a flash, the ship exploded, sending a shockwave that rattled the nearby ships. "We need to regroup," the commander finally said, his voice cold. "There's only one way to defeat them now." Back aboard the human warship, the captain sat in his chair, watching the chaos unfold on his own view screen. He was focused and calm, as if he had already won. Despite the alien ships growing more desperate, the captain knew that the battle was far from over. The alien fleet might be larger, but the human ship had something they didn't: adaptability. The captain knew that his warship had its limits. It wasn't invincible, but he had confidence in one thing: human resourcefulness. As long as he could stay one step ahead of the aliens, the tide of the battle would continue to shift in his favor. His strategy had worked so far, but he couldn't afford to get complacent. The alien fleet was a formidable force, and they were starting to change their tactics. He could see that they were beginning to adapt, and he knew that meant the next phase of the battle would be even more challenging. "Keep moving, and don't stop," the captain said to his crew, his voice steady. "We need to stay unpredictable. As long as we keep them guessing, we'll keep winning." His crew worked in perfect unison, following his orders without hesitation. The warship darted between asteroid fields, dodging enemy fire and launching counterattacks from unexpected angles. The aliens, who had thought they had the upper hand, were now being forced to think fast and change their plans on the fly. But just as the battle seemed to be in the human ship's favor, the aliens revealed their trump card. A sudden wave of energy rippled across the battlefield, and several of the alien ships deployed a massive energy shield, one that covered a large area of space. The shield wasn't just a defensive tool. It was an offensive one, capable of blocking the human ship's weapons and causing significant damage to anything caught within its radius. The human captain's eyes narrowed as he saw the energy shield expand. For the first time in the battle, the alien fleet had the upper hand. The human warship could no longer fire its weapons without risking being overwhelmed by the shield's power. "Brace for impact," the captain ordered. "We need to find a way around this." The crew worked quickly, scanning for weak points in the alien shield. The captain knew that they couldn't go through the shield. He would have to find a way to bypass it. The alien ships were closing in, their weapons charged and ready to fire. But the human captain was not one to back down easily. He had faced impossible odds before, and he had always found a way to overcome them. He knew there had to be a weakness in the shield, and he was determined to find it. "Prepare the flares," he said to his chief engineer. The engineer looked at him in confusion, but the captain's face was resolute. "We're going to blind them." The crew quickly set to work, loading special flares into the warship's launchers. These weren't just ordinary flares. They were designed to release an intense burst of light and electromagnetic energy. The goal wasn't to destroy the alien ships. It was to create a moment of confusion, just long enough for the human warship to make its move. The captain watched as the flares were launched into space. A blinding flash erupted, momentarily disrupting the alien ship's targeting systems and causing their shields to flicker. It was just enough. With the shield temporarily weakened, the human warship fired a concentrated blast of energy, hitting the weakest part of the alien fleet's formation. The shockwave sent several of the alien ships spiraling out of control. The energy shield flickered, and the aliens were forced to retreat, regrouping and trying to regain control of their ships. The human warship had made its move, and once again, the tide of the battle shifted. As the alien fleet pulled back, the human captain let out a deep breath. He knew this was just the beginning. The battle was far from over, but he had once again shown that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in its technology. It was in its creativity and its unyielding spirit. The battle raged on as the human warship, battered but unbroken, continued to outmaneuver the alien fleet. The alien ships, once full of confidence, were now in retreat. Their coordinated attacks had slowed, and the once unified front had splintered. The human captain had done what seemed impossible. He had not only survived the overwhelming numbers of the alien fleet, but was now pushing them to the brink of defeat. As the human ship glided through the dark expanse of space, dodging enemy fire and weaving between debris from destroyed ships, the crew remained focused, their eyes fixed on the task at hand. The captain stood at the helm, his expression grim but determined. He knew that they were close, but they weren't done yet. The final push would come soon, and he had to make sure everything was in place for the last strike. "Status report," the captain said, his voice calm but carrying the weight of the battle. "Shields are holding steady," the chief engineer responded. "Hull integrity is at 78%, and all systems are functioning within safe limits. We've taken a beating, but we're still standing." The captain's eyes locked onto the horizon of space. This battle might have been won, but there would be more to come. The war wasn't over, and humanity was just getting started. The human warship drifted in the quiet of space, its engines humming softly as the crew regrouped. The battle had been intense, but for the moment, it was over. The alien fleet had retreated, battered and broken, unable to withstand the relentless tactics and cunning of the human forces. But even in victory, there was no time to relax. The war was far from over, and the enemy would not simply disappear. Captain Andrews stood on the bridge, his eyes scanning the stars. The human warship had taken damage, but it was still operational. They had made it through the worst of it, but he knew there would be another fight soon. The aliens were far from finished, and if anything, their retreat was just the beginning of something bigger. "Status report," Captain Andrews ordered, his voice calm but sharp. He didn't need to be told that the warship had survived the battle, but he needed to know how much longer they could stay in the fight. "Shields are down to 43%, sir," the chief engineer replied. "We've repaired most of the damage to the hull, but we're running low on supplies. We can hold for a while, but we'll need a resupply soon." Andrews nodded. "Understood. Keep the repairs going. We'll make do with what we have for now." He turned his attention to the tactical officer. "Any sign of the enemy?" The tactical officer's fingers moved quickly across the control panel. "Nothing yet, sir. It seems the enemy is regrouping. They're likely planning their next move." The captain thought for a moment. "We need to be ready. Set a course for the nearest friendly station. We'll restock and be ready for whatever comes next." As the crew worked together to prepare for their next move, Captain Andrews couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger was at play. The alien fleet's retreat had been too sudden, too coordinated. It felt like they were regrouping for something even more dangerous. He walked to the window, staring out into the vast emptiness of space. The stars were distant and cold, but they offered a sense of calm in the midst of all the chaos. Humanity had always been a species that thrived under pressure. They had survived wars, famine, and disease. Now they were facing an enemy that was unlike anything they had ever seen before, and yet they had prevailed. They had shown the galaxy that they weren't to be underestimated. "Captain," the communications officer called, interrupting his thoughts. "We've received a message from the Galactic Council." Andrews turned to face the officer. "Put it through." A holographic image appeared in the center of the bridge. It was the face of a tall alien being with glowing blue skin and an air of authority. The face was familiar. This was the leader of the Galactic Council, a group that had watched humanity's rise with skepticism. "Captain Andrews," the leader said, his voice smooth but laced with tension. "You and your crew have proven that humans are not to be underestimated. The Council has been watching your actions closely. The recent battle has shifted the balance of power in the galaxy. You have my congratulations on your victory." Andrews crossed his arms, eyeing the alien with suspicion. "Thank you, but we're not done yet. The enemy will be back, and they'll be stronger than ever." The leader of the Council didn't flinch. "Indeed, the alien forces you face are only a small part of a much larger threat. You have proven yourself in battle, but now you will face a different kind of challenge. The galaxy is not a place where alliances are easily formed, and enemies are often unpredictable. You must be prepared for whatever lies ahead. The captain's expression hardened. We're ready for anything. Humanity doesn't back down. The council leader nodded slowly. We shall see. You may have won this battle, but there is much more to come. I recommend that you make alliances, prepare for the future. The galaxy is on the brink of war, and you must decide where you stand. With that, the hologram flickered and disappeared. The silence on the bridge was heavy. The captain stood still for a moment, considering the words of the council leader. The galaxy was vast, and the war they had fought so far was just the beginning. Humanity was a small player in a much larger game, but they were no longer helpless. They had proven that they could stand against the most powerful forces in the universe. Captain, the communications officer said, breaking the silence. We've received a signal from the alien fleet. Andrews turned sharply. What is it? It's a distress signal, sir, from the enemy's flagship. The captain's eyebrows furrowed. A distress signal. After the fight they had just been through, the aliens were sending a message for help. It didn't make sense. Open a channel, Captain Andrews ordered. Let's hear what they have to say. The screen flickered and then displayed the image of the alien commander, battered and bruised from the battle. His eyes were wide with disbelief. We surrender, the commander said, his voice shaky. We underestimated you. Please, we offer peace. Captain Andrews stared at the alien commander for a long moment. The once mighty force had crumbled under the pressure of humanity's resolve, and now they were asking for peace. It was a turn of events no one had expected. After a long pause, the captain spoke. Peace. You're asking for peace after everything you've done. The commander nodded. Yes. We were wrong. We see now that humanity is not to be underestimated. We want to end this war. The captain glanced around at his crew. They were all watching him, waiting for his decision. This was a moment that could shape the future of the galaxy. The choice was his. Captain Andrews took a deep breath. I will consider your offer. But know this, you've already lost the trust of humanity. It will take more than words to make things right. Captain Andrews stood silently on the bridge, staring at the screen in front of him. The alien commander's words echoed in his mind. We want to end this war. It was a surprising turn of events, one that no one could have predicted after the fierce battles they had fought. Peace wasn't something the enemy had ever seemed to want, but now they were begging for it. He glanced around at his crew. They were all waiting for his decision. Some looked hopeful, others uncertain. The war had been brutal, and the sacrifices had been great. Could they trust these aliens who had once been their enemies? Could they truly end the conflict now, or was this just a trick? Captain, Lieutenant Harris spoke up, his voice filled with caution. Are we really going to accept their surrender? After everything they've done? Andrews nodded slowly. I know it's hard to believe, but this might be the only way to end the bloodshed. We've shown them our strength. We've beaten them in battle. If we refuse their offer now, we risk an even bigger conflict, one that could cost more lives. But are they being honest? Harris asked. They could just be trying to buy time to regroup. Andrews met Harris's gaze, his expression serious. It's a risk, but I think they know they've been defeated. If they were planning something, they wouldn't have sent a distress signal. They would have attacked us while we were vulnerable. He turned back to the screen, where the alien commander's image was still visible. The commander was watching him closely, waiting for his answer. This was a moment that could shape the future of the galaxy. The captain had to make a choice. He could either continue fighting, risking everything, or he could take a chance on peace. We'll hear them out, Andrews said firmly. But we'll be cautious. I won't let humanity's guard down. The alien commander nodded in relief. Thank you, Captain. We understand your distrust. We will do everything in our power to prove our sincerity. The channel went silent as the captain considered the next steps. The rest of the crew continued with their tasks, but the tension in the air was palpable. Everyone knew that this decision could either lead to a new era of peace or ignite the spark for an even larger war. After a long moment, the captain turned to his communications officer. "Contact the Galactic Council. We need to discuss the situation with them. If we're going to make peace, we'll need their help." "Yes, sir," the officer replied, typing quickly on the console. As the crew worked, Andrews couldn't help but wonder what the future held. The human warship had proven itself in battle, but peace was a much harder challenge. How could they trust the same species that had tried to wipe them out? Would the Galactic Council support their decision, or would they see it as a weakness? Finally, the Galactic Council leader appeared on the screen once more. "Captain Andrews," he said, his voice as smooth as ever. "I see you've made your decision." Andrews didn't mince words. "We've agreed to hear the alien commander's offer. They want peace, but we'll be cautious. We won't let our guard down." The council leader nodded, his glowing blue face impassive. "I understand your caution, Captain. You've done what no one thought possible. You've defeated a much stronger enemy. Now you must decide what comes next. The galaxy is watching. Your decision will have consequences, not just for humanity, but for all the species involved." "I know," Andrews replied. "But I believe that humanity has earned the right to decide its own future. If we can end this war without more bloodshed, we will. But it has to be on our terms." The council leader paused before speaking again. "Very well, Captain. We will support your decision. But remember, peace is never simple. You must remain vigilant, for there are those who will not welcome this change." The transmission ended, and the bridge fell silent once again. Captain Andrews looked out at the stars, wondering what lay ahead. Peace was fragile, and it was up to humanity to make it last. But he knew one thing for sure. Humanity was no longer a weak, helpless species. They had proven their strength, their determination, and their ability to survive. "Captain," the communications officer spoke up, breaking the silence. "The alien commander is requesting another channel." Andrews took a deep breath. "Put it through." The alien commander's image appeared once more, this time with a more serious expression. "Captain, we want to offer something more than just words. We're ready to start rebuilding what we destroyed. We want to ensure that this never happens again." Andrews studied the commander's face, searching for any signs of deceit. But there was only sincerity in his eyes. "What do you propose?" "We offer a ceasefire," the commander said. "We will begin dismantling our remaining weapons and return to our homeworlds. We'll open communication with the Galactic Council and work together to ensure the safety of all species. We want to make amends for the suffering we've caused." Andrews hesitated, weighing the offer. It sounded too good to be true, but he had to give them a chance. "If you truly mean it, then we'll give you a chance. But know this, if you betray us, there will be no forgiveness." The alien commander nodded solemnly. "Understood, Captain. You have my word." With that, the transmission ended, and Captain Andrews finally allowed himself a small sigh of relief. Peace wasn't easy, but it was possible. Humanity had fought hard for it, and now they would fight to keep it. As the warship drifted through the stars, the crew knew they had made history. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, it seemed full of possibilities.